Adrian, Adrian, arise. Sophia faces new danger. Leave this oasis, find the holy city. You can save her, but there is not much time. Arise, Adrian, arise.
Hurry! They are approaching!
Who is approaching?
The pillagers! They killed my men! Hide! He went off behind the dune!
I can see his tracks.
Your god told the bees, "Set up your homes in the mountains, among the trees and rocks. Then you shall taste from all the fruits."
You do not know me, yet you save my life. You quote the Quran, but I can see very well that you are not from here. If Allah wanted to send me a sign, he could not have made it more clear. Thanks be to him that the Bedouins were in too much of a hurry to take all my belongings. Come, let us eat now. Who are you, friend? I do not even know your name.
My name is Adrian, and to be honest, I do not know where or when I was born. You will think me mad.
Sometimes men lose more than their way in the desert. This is the year 930 after the Hijrah, Adrian, and this oasis is a day's walk from Jerusalem. But what are you doing here? Are you a Christian pilgrim?
Of sorts.
You are careful. That is a quality in the desert. And you speak Arabic fairly well for a man from the north. That is an even greater quality. Come, take a little tea, pilgrim. My name is Ozdemir.
Hijrah? What do you mean?
That is what we call the beginning of our age. On that day, Mohammed left Mecca, place of his persecution, for Medina, where his followers awaited him. That happened in the month of September 622 of the Christian calendar. For Christians, today is 1,552 years after the birth of their Messiah.
Jerusalem. Then that is the holy city. Will you help me get there?
I have a debt toward you, Adrian. Although you are an infidel, I shall not forget that I owe you my life.
You pray to Allah, and you commit yourself to helping a stranger whose ancestors once roamed this land as your enemies. You are a man of peace, Ozdemir.
I am simply following the will of the Prophet to be charitable. As for the differences between our faiths, I know an anecdote. Look and listen. Imagine that around the fire there is a Jew, a Christian, and a Muslim. Our three religions were born in the desert. And so, if I take the sand as a page on which to write the history of God and man, everyone will agree. On the right, mark the name of the first prophet. Good. Everyone around the fire is in agreement. Now, write the name of the great prophet who followed him. Yes, we call him Musa. Everyone around the fire is in agreement. Musa is a great prophet, but the Jew says it ends there. Musa received the law of God, and nobody knows his will better than him, and he rises and leaves. Only the Christian and the Muslim remain around the fire. Write the name of the man of God who came after Musa. Correct. We call him Isa. And for us too, he was a great prophet. But our Christian, not you, stranger, the one around the fire in the story, says Isa was the Son of God and gave the new word. Nobody knows the will of the Father better than his own Son. And he rises and leaves the fire. Finally, write the name of the prophet who followed Isa. That's it. The Muslim agrees, but he is all alone now by the fire with the page of sand. He says, of course, Musa and Isa were admirable prophets, but Muhammad came afterwards, and Allah gave him the rest of the word. Now, write the names of the holy books under those of the prophets. The page is finished, and nobody agrees on the names and the merits of these names. Note how the Muslim is the only one to acknowledge the merits of all three prophets and their words. He is surely the wisest of the three.
Why is he the wisest, my friend?
He is the wisest because at the end of the great discussion, he is the only one still by the fire, while the other two have disappeared into the cold night. And that's very foolish in the desert. Even a child knows that.
Ozdemir, a man as wise as the one you describe, would have managed to keep everyone by the fire.
Oh, perhaps, but to do that, he would have had to write in the sand above Abraham the name of the Almighty in a way that everyone would agree with. If you can find out how to do this, you are the wisest of all. But I am going to sleep now because I doubt I will ever find a man capable of that.
Ozdemir, I too have something to show you.
Yes, earth, water, sky, all is God. And fire is the faith that Allah ignites in the heart of man. You are courageous, educated, careful, and wise. You speak Arabic. I have great need for a man like you where I am going. What other languages do you speak?
Greek, Latin, Hebrew, and the language of the French allies of your emperor.
A translator. Allah has determined that you should cross my path. I have a delicate matter to settle in Jerusalem. and your skills could be of great use to me. Will you stay with me for a few days?
I would be honored. And if it is true that there is no danger, Ozdemir, it is possible that by helping you, I shall help myself.
Jerusalem, the 3 times holy city.
The city of Christ's passion.
The city where Mohammed was carried off by a winged mare with a woman's face to join Allah.
And for the Jews?
The city of their greatest king, David, and the site of Solomon's temple, the sanctuary of the Ark of the Covenant.
I wonder what the city will be for me.
Maktub, Adrian. It is written.
These city walls are incredible.
Jerusalem is very dear to the heart of Solomon. He ordered many constructions there. Fountains, a new facade for the Cathedral of the Rock, a hospice, and the reconstruction of the city walls. A city such as this is never safe from Bedouin attacks, or even a new crusade.
Are they Janissaries guarding the entrance?
Yes, they are Christian children brought up in conquered lands and raised as fighting monks. They are the supporters of the empire, but sometimes I worry that their power becomes too great. Come, it is high time we made ourselves known. Guard, I am Chavush to His Highness Solomon. I must see the governor immediately.
You presented yourself to the Janissary as a Chavuch. What does that mean?
That is my title. I am an emissary from the Holy Port. His Highness Solomon the Magnificent, blessed be his name, sent me to this place to meet the governor of Jerusalem, who finds himself in an embarrassing situation. In the excavations that were dug for the reconstruction of the city walls, workers found a wooden box containing an ancient dagger. Word of this discovery soon got round, and everyone wishes to see the weapon that Abraham brandished when the Almighty commanded him to sacrifice his son, Isaac. Now, there is almost an open quarrel between the millets over who should possess that which some say is a holy relic.
Millets? What are they?
That is the name given to the different religious communities that cohabit under Ottoman law.
What is the governor's role in a city like Jerusalem?
The governor is an administrator and a judge. He refers to the Sunnah, which is Islamic tradition as laid down by the Prophet in the Quran, but also by the example of his life.
Why did Abraham have to sacrifice his son?
The Almighty asked this of him as proof of his faith, but an angel intervened and stopped his hand at the last minute. A sheep was sacrificed instead of one of the patriarch's sons. I say sons because for Muslims, Abraham was told to sacrifice Ishmael, even though in the Bible the victim is described as Isaac.
So, Abraham had 2 sons. Who was the elder?
Ishmael was his firstborn, the son of the Egyptian woman Agar, and ancestor of the Arab people.
Who was Isaac's mother?
Isaac was born to Sarah just as she turned 90. Her name means laugh, because when she learned that she was going to have a child at such an old age, she was filled with great joy. Isaac is the ancestor of the Jewish people.
So Jews and Arabs are actually half-brothers?
If you believe the story, yes, they are. Arabs and Jews share the same ancestors and the same blood.
You seem to already know the man we are going to meet.
He is an old comrade in arms of our emperor. Allah tested him greatly. His 4 sons perished so that our flag may fly on the ramparts of Budapest. Layla, his second wife, died also. All he has left is his daughter, Hikmah. Now he lives only for her and his duty.
Javuch Ozdemir, I'm so glad to see you again.
May Allah's blessing go with you, Ibrahim. This is Adrian, my interpreter.
Follow me. The governor awaits you.
Javuch, your arrival warms my heart. Yet I have grave news for you. Abraham's dagger has been stolen from within these walls not more than an hour ago. The only thing that could wipe away the shame that overwhelms me is the despair that grips my being. He who committed this crime also took Hikmah, my own daughter.
Do you know who could have been so foolish as to perpetrate such crimes?
A fanatic. A sort of preacher by the name of Hayat. A man whom Ibrahim had imprisoned more than a month ago for public disorder.
How could he have escaped? Where was he being held?
Ibrahim, take us to his cell. Ibrahim, what does this mean?
We left him some color pigments. We thought it would do no harm.
Our criminal is an artist, and an educated one at that. See, he speaks at least 3 languages. He is a good map maker too. Did he leave any message? Do we know why he took Hikmah?
Ozdemir, if you will allow me, I think that the answer is here on these walls. We just need to read this man's madness.
I shall have the city searched. He shall not escape for long.
Find my daughter. Ozdemir, I shall be in the council room. If you discover anything, come and tell me. You should consult the Sufi who is studying in the library. He is a man of great wisdom. If we fail, I shall no longer be worthy of Solomon's trust.
Well, Adrian, this is a great challenge for your perceptive mind.
The governor did not seem overly upset by Hikmah's disappearance.
Do not be fooled. I know him well. He is greatly troubled, but his honor demands that nothing should deter him from his duties. He was nominated by Solomon himself, and only our emperor can take that duty away from him.
What do you know about the governor's daughter?
I have heard much about Hikmah. They say she is as beautiful and lively as Layla, her late mother. The young girl is greatly loved here in Jerusalem. Perhaps our madman chose her so his actions would stand out. Perhaps he knew all the millets would miss her presence.
The governor spoke of a Sufi. What did he mean?
The Sufis are spiritual leaders who practice ecstasy and meditation. They follow their own paths, sometimes well outside the precepts of the revelation of our prophet and the Sharia, the civil and penal code drawn from the Quran.
They look like parts of a map.
I think these are districts of Jerusalem.
Hayat must have tamed a bird.
That he didn't forget to free in turn when he freed himself.
Three boxes of equal shape and proportion.
A triptych.
These black lines seem to run off the streets.
They do not appear to indicate a place.
Is it a code?
I am as puzzled by this as you are.
The lock has not been broken.
Either our man is a great lock-picker, or he escaped when the door was left open, or someone opened it for him.
Enter, Dhimmi.
Dhimmi?
Stranger, if you prefer. Lost one would be more exact.
Lost one?
You are a stranger because you are not from this place. You are lost because you do not recognize Muhammad as the Prophet of Allah. But you are not damned because you pray to Allah, although you give him another name.
Did you know Hikmah well?
Hikmah? Yes. A young girl with as much faith as she has heart. She is demanding and impassioned, and funny. Such spirit. Almost too much spirit for a young girl, but plenty for a daughter of the governor. We were friends. Her father encouraged her to follow my lessons here.
Can you tell me about the Hebrew and Arabic alphabets?
The letters are holy signs. God used them to pass His word to man. Symbolically, they contain part of His strength. But there are surely those more knowledgeable than me to talk of this subject. I am thinking of Yusuf al-Bakri, the calligrapher who often works in the gardens.
Did you have a chance to talk to the prisoner?
Yes, he is a man full of paradoxes. Sometimes he was as wise as a patriarch, other times foolish as a child. A complex personality, but he knew how to make himself loved, even by his jailers, and he received visits. From Hikmah, for one. I used to play chess with him. He was a great adversary.
Do you know what his faith was, and why he was so interested in this dagger?
That is a difficult question. He may have been motivated by a single desire to underscore that which unites the three religions of the book.
How did you play chess?
Through the bars of his cell. We had agreed that every time he won, I would bring him a book. He read a lot recently, and then afterwards he wanted me to get him something to write and paint with.
Who is Dhimmi in this city?
The Dhimmi are the people of the book whose faith is turned, like the Muslims, to the one and only God, even though they name him Yahweh or God the Father. If they pay the jizya, a specific tax, they receive protection and the right to practice their religion on the condition that they do not commit an act of proselytism. Jewish, Orthodox Christian, Latin, and Armenian dhimmis come to Jerusalem. I think that is all, but it is quite enough to make life a little complicated sometimes.
Tell me about Muhammad.
Our prophet, blessed be his name, was born in the year 570 of the time of the Nazarenes. He was an ordinary man, a camel driver, to whom the angel Gabriel gave the mission of being the last carrier of the word of God. Muhammad dictated the Quran under divine inspiration and moved the entire Arabic peninsula from idolatry to the worship of Allah. After his death in 632, the caliphs brought the flame of revelation to Andalusia and Persia. But that is another story.
What books did he ask you for?
The treatise on zoology by Ibn al-Mawzili, the treatise on optics by Al-Aitham, the Book of 100 Doors by Isaac Chani, the Pastor by Hermas, and even a conversion table for calendars.
Can you show me this conversion table?
It is somewhere on these shelves. It is a large book with a Latin title. Dimmi, you seem patient and not too foolish. I do not doubt that you shall find that which you seek. One day.
I salute you, Master.
You must be the Nazarene translator. I have heard of you. Can I be of any help?
Could you tell me about the alphabets used by the Hebrews and Arabs?
The letters are energies. They are values and qualities, much more than just simple signs. But that is also true of the alphabet used by you, Rumis.
You say that letters are values also? Please, explain that to me.
The Hebrews brought this art of association up to a very high point of refinement. They call it the Kabbalah. It quickly became extremely complex, but it is a powerful tool for meditation. The basic practice involves associating each letter with its position in the alphabet. I have a plate here that illustrates how. Let me show you.
Did you have the chance to meet the madman who escaped?
Oh, no. But strangely enough, I think he received a number of visits. Ibrahim, the Sufi Isa al-Ghari, and especially Hikmah, the governor's own daughter. Oh, may Allah protect her.
Do you know the venerable Sufi who studies in the library?
Isa al-Ghari? Oh, do not speak of him. Today, tomorrow, ever.
Oh, you're not on good terms, I take it.
On good terms. The day I finally beat him at chess, I shall perhaps manage to pardon him for being so intelligent.
Do you know that the madman left a strange drawing on his cell wall?
I saw that. Oh, it's nothing. In any case, it is not art.
Could you tell me a little about your art?
Tradition has it that the kalam, instrument of calligraphy, was the first object created by Allah. Whoever holds the kalam in accordance with the rules of proportion and harmony is, to some extent, closer to the secrets of God.
I may have found something, but I need to look at a few documents.
Of course. What books do you want to look at? The Torah? A generic term which stands for the 5 books famed for being written by Moses' very own hand: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. You must have a more precise idea of what you're looking for. Hope, the heart of the alliance between Hebrews and Yahweh, their God. The Gospels. Which one do you talk of? That of St. Matthew, St. Mark, St. Luke, or St. John? love, the greatest of all gifts from God to man. The most difficult and demanding, too. 111 surahs make up the Quran, my friend. Would you like to read one in particular? I do not know in the Quran any better way of defining what is faith. And so, faith, hope, love. These are what the Christians call theological virtues. They are common to all three religions. You see, even if Hayat is mad, he certainly knows and masters all the diversity of the writings.
That's it. The cartouches stand for 3 words: faith, hope, and love.
Ah, yes. We have 3 boxes, 3 maps, and 3 words. I wonder if we have to find a way to place the words on the maps.
I think that your talent could help us to progress in our investigation. Could you write some words on a wall?
Well, I would do anything to please the governor and help find the girl, but I cannot see well from afar, and I've misplaced my glasses. Without them, I shall not be a great help to you.
I have found your glasses. Now we can go to the cell. Look, Hyatt's friend has returned.
Something is attached to the bird's foot.
What does this triptych say to you?
Nothing.
These cartouches are in fact references to the 3 holy virtues that are common to all 3 religions.
This is the work of a holy man, not a calligrapher.
Do you see something in these maps?
No!
What do you think of these paths?
That our man cannot master a steady hand.
Do these lines mean anything to you?
Well, for me, they could also be dots.
Could you paint the words faith, hope, and love in the boxes?
Where? The boxes are enormous.
Keep close to the beginning and the end of the lines.
Let me see. Ah, yes, I think you're right. It seems to fit.
Everything seems logical up to now, but the lines of each word could indicate a dozen different places. We are obviously missing a clue.
One element is missing, that is sure, but the solution must be near.
I would like you to place these crosses on the words that you have just written in the boxes. Look, the lines only cross the words in one place. Do they show particular places, Ozdemir?
The Tankizia Madrasa, one of the most important Quranic schools in Jerusalem. The Holy Sepulchre, the place where the Son of Mary was placed after his crucifixion. This indicates the Ramban synagogue. It is time we warn the governor. Governor, my secretary has unraveled the puzzle. The madman indicates 3 places in Jerusalem. I fear that we are only at the beginning of what will be a long trail.
You seem to be gifted with wisdom, Secretary. I am taking a risk, but I trust you. Follow the signs, investigate, rummage, and interrogate. I bestow my honor as governor in your hands. Find Abraham's dagger for me. And above all, return to me that which is 1,000 times more precious than titles and duties. Return Hikmah, my daughter, to me.
Adrian, tell me, what were you looking for out there in the desert?
A woman that I had lost.
And here you are, looking for another lost woman. Allah wants to tell you something, my friend.
I am afraid I had noticed.
Do not confuse speed with haste. Here, some aspras and a map of the city so you do not get lost. Do not forget to come back as soon as you have understood what Hayat is attempting to do. And above all, be careful.
What could possibly happen to me? I am walking in the path of faith.
Be doubly careful then, for that is when Shaitan captures his best prey.
Excuse me, why are you waiting here?
We're hungry. As they are suddenly so generous with the sign marked in the ground, we thought... well...
I shall go and see if I can do something. Why are you praying in front of a sign on the ground?
They say it is a miracle.
Who are they?
Look, I can do without a stranger's sarcasm. People have been praying here all morning. Is that not proof enough for you?
In the name of charity, will you not give your money to the poor rather than to your selfish desires?
If God wanted that, he would have made the word charity appear. But faith is written here. So take back your blasphemous sermons. The Pope doesn't seem shocked, does he?
I'm sorry to disturb you, but could you tell me what caused this uproar?
The sign appeared at dawn. It would appear that by throwing a coin and making a prayer, a wish can be granted.
Who said that?
Oh, I do not know, but it cannot do any harm, and the sign is there, is it not?
Would it not be more Christian of you to give these coins to the needy?
Well, now we have made our wishes. We're worried that they will never be granted if someone else takes the coins. But, you know, these coins, once night falls, these poor people can just come and collect them. That way everyone will be happy.
You are encouraging the poor to steal out of superstition?
Oh, enough. Who are you to be so moralistic? A priest? A pope? A monk? Listen, stranger, the Archimandrite Palamede is at the door. If he disapproved, he would stop us.
What do you think of what is happening here?
I am observing, my son. I am observing and learning.
But do you really think the sign comes from God, Father?
Wise is he who knows the answer to that.
Would this money not better be used to help the needy? I would gladly give them the few small coins I have, but they're far less valuable than these.
I see why you are concerned, but there is certainly a way of satisfying your appetite for justice while respecting the wishes of everyone.
What is an archimandrite?
It is a title given to superiors, like the popes in our Holy Orthodox Church. Anyway, are you here to give lessons or to learn? Sacrilege! Sacrilege! Sacrilege!
What are you doing, my son?
I'm making a wish too, that the poor may eat, so that they are no longer hungry. And you are right to believe in a miracle. Look, the more coins I throw, the more wishes are granted.
Pope, what should we think of this?
Do you know the fable of the rich man and Lazarus? Every day, a rich man had lavish feasts. Lazarus, a poor man, was lying at the door to the rich man's house. When Lazarus died, he was taken away by angels. When the rich man died, he went to hell and looked up and saw Lazarus next to Abraham. The rich man spoke to the patriarch and said, "Father, send Lazarus to warn my brothers so they shall not come to this place of torture." Abraham replied, "They have Moses and the prophets. Let your brothers listen to them." The rich man replied, "If someone were to come back to them from the dead, they would convert." And Abraham replied, "If they do not listen to Moses or the prophets, even if someone brought back the dead, they would not be convinced."
Father, if what we did was so reprehensible, why did you not stop us?
I hoped that your knowledge of Moses and the prophets would be enough. Stranger, come with me into the church of the Lord. You have proved yourself worthy. I tell you, son, whether one is a shepherd of souls or of sheep, the most important quality is patience.
They did not realize.
Jesus said that of his persecutors, and he showed us the lesson of forgiveness. But
I know. The shepherd can, from time to time, give his sheep a little kick up the backside.
you have both heart and spirit. could I do you a favor in return?
Have you heard of a man named Hayat?
Yes, he used to come and see me often. I know he was put in prison. Often, men with culture and idealism have difficulty being accepted.
What do you really think of the appearance of this sign?
It was obviously drawn by a man's hand. Was that man an instrument of God? That I could not say.
I have heard of a fight over a dagger.
That dagger has become the subject of a great debate between the Millets and the Ottoman leadership. We Christians claim the dagger can only be kept in the Holy Sepulchre.
Do not be offended by what I say, but Abraham is a great prophet for the three religions of the book.
True. The Holy Sepulchre is the only religious place where all three can come and admire it. The mosques are close to us and the synagogue is far too small. It is a matter of justice and good sense.
How is the Christian community in Jerusalem spread out?
We are in the same town where Christ preached and where he knew the Passion. And unfortunately, even here, his faithful have split up into different families. The Franciscans of Latin Rite occupy the monastery on Mount Zion, which is now beyond the city walls. The Armenians, who are Monophysites, have always come on pilgrimages to Jerusalem. Some stay here permanently. They occupy the southwestern district around St. James's Cathedral. And finally, we, the Orthodox Christians, keep this holy place for all.
Do you have time to show me the marvels of the Holy Sepulchre?
I would be glad to accompany you through the sanctuary.
What do you mean by Latin Rite, Father?
The rite of the Catholics, the Christians who submit to the authority of the Pope in Rome.
Why is the Orthodox Rite different from the Latin Rite?
Your question is both simple and yet complex. Let us say that the Catholics have chosen to unconditionally follow the popes of Rome, while we Orthodox remain faithful to our local churches.
What does monophysite mean?
The Armenians, the Egyptian Coptics, and the Syrian Jacobites believe that only divine nature was in Jesus Christ. But their doctrine was condemned during a religious council in the middle of the 5th century. The council claimed that the Son of Mary had a dual nature, both human and divine. You see, there are many ways to live through the Christian faith. Jesus himself knew this. Did he not say, "In my Father's house there are many mansions"?
Why are the Eastern and Western churches so separated?
For theologians of the East, the Holy Ghost is subordinate to the Son and to the Father. In 1054, the Eastern and Western churches finally split over this detail. If the Holy Ghost is subordinate to the Son, it is therefore the Pope who is his earthly representative. We, however, believe that each believer carries a part of the Holy Spirit in him.
Thank you, Father, and perhaps we shall meet again soon.
I pray it shall be so, my son.
Scrub harder, my son. Harder!
I'm scrubbing as hard as I can, but it's still there.
Or use more soap. Come on, work! Work!
You are all ungodly. You are no better than dimmies. You want to scrub away the word of God himself.
Excuse me, but I am looking for the Sheikh of the Madrasah.
It is I. My name is Imam Abdel Wahid. What do you want, stranger?
What did you ask that boy to do?
The word faith appeared on this wall this morning, and it seems it is impossible to remove. If we do not manage to get it off, word will soon get round that a miracle has happened here. And with all the things that have happened recently, I do not think this is a good moment for adding further troubles to disturb our most sensitive citizens.
I do not think this is anything but a man-made attempt. Will you allow me to try and scrub out this word?
Aha! If you manage, I shall be very grateful, young man.
What is happening here?
Oh, the word faith appeared on the wall of the madrasa this morning, just after sunrise. The imam wants it removed, but this young boy scrubbed and the word's still there. Yusuf thinks it's a miracle, but I think it's the work of this madman who escaped from prison.
Why is that boy scrubbing on the wall?
The imam asked him to. The word faith was painted on the wall with magic ink. The boy keeps scrubbing, but the mark is still there. It is perhaps a sign from all-powerful Allah.
What are you doing, boy?
The Imam Abdel Wahid does not want this mark to stay on the wall. I'm doing what I can, but I cannot take it off. Look, my cloth is wet with paint, though.
Look, a gifted inventor taught me this strategy. The sun's rays are directed by this system and light up the shape of the word faith, which is painted on a lens and projected onto the wall. That is why we could not scrub it out.
You show good practical sense, even wisdom, stranger. I am Imam Abdel Wahid. Excuse me prying, but are you not the translator who arrived with our esteemed Chavuch?
I am astonished to be thus recognized.
Jerusalem is a small city, and anything concerning the Sublime Gate comes into our conversations. Why did your feet lead you to our institution?
The governor has given me the task of finding a dangerous man.
The city speaks only of this. May Allah in His divine mercy help me assist you in your search. That Hayat never pleased me.
Did you know Hayat?
Yes, of course. Well, as much as any Jewish, Christian, or Muslim man of God who has spent the last 2 seasons in Jerusalem. I do believe he visited us all at one time or another.
What did he want?
He wanted to persuade us to abandon our respective religions for one that would reunite Jews, Christians, and followers of the Prophet Muhammad. He said that the time had come for the sons of Abraham to finally recognize one another as brothers.
This man left a message giving 3 places in the city. One was the Madrasa Tankiziyah. What interest would this place have for him?
Our madrasa is one of the most important Quranic schools in Jerusalem. It is a place of study and of welcome, activities which concern many people.
I know that as a dhimmi I cannot enter any mosque in the empire, but may I enter a madrasa?
The Quranic schools are not religious places, even though the holy book is studied there. Follow me.
What place does prayer have in Muslim religion?
Our prophet called prayer the apple of the eye of faith. You see that he placed great importance on this witness of religious fervor. It is even one of the pillars of Islam.
The pillars of Islam?
Muslims must complete 5 tasks to show their devotion to Allah. The profession of faith, known as Shahada. Prayer, charity, fasting, and pilgrimage to Mecca. These are the acts that distinguish Muslims from the infidel.
What is Shahada?
There is no God but God, and Muhammad is his prophet. That is the saying that affirms the oneness of Allah and the prophetic task of Muhammad. If you pronounce the Shahada with faith, sincerity, and ardor, you are a Muslim.
Why is Mecca more important than Jerusalem for Islam?
Jerusalem is where Muhammad ascended to heaven during the night of the Miraj. But Mecca is the holy city of Islam, because that is where the Prophet began his preaching, and that is also where the Kaaba stands, the temple built by Abraham and Ishmael on the orders of God. That is why we turn to face that direction when we pray. And that is the city we must travel to at least once in our lifetime for the Hajj, or pilgrimage.
Is it not dangerous to join the Hajj today? The roads of the Empire are not safe, as the Chavush Ozdemir and I have discovered only recently.
Oh, yes. There are Bedouin tribes who oppose imperial law by attacking and ransoming pilgrim caravans. It has always been that way. But having the great privilege of touching the right hand of Allah is worth the risk, do you not think?
The right hand of Allah?
That is the holy stone of the Temple of Kaaba that holds the celestial pact written by God for man. To begin with, this stone was whiter than snow, but by touching it, the pilgrims have loaded it with their sins, and it has become darker than the night. And now, I must leave you. I must begin my ablutions, so my body is as pure as my soul when I carry out the gestures of prayer. If I can be of any help to you in your search, you may return. I enjoy teaching strangers the beauties of our faith.
Wise rabbis, what is the cause of your worries?
This sign, written in the sand in front of the synagogue.
The word faith?
You read Hebrew?
Yes. Why does this word disturb you so?
The word itself is magnificent, but it is the intention of he who wrote it that worries us. Our community is unfortunately the target of much abuse from Muslims.
And we're afraid we may soon see a much more disagreeable word than this if we let it continue.
Well, rub it out.
We cannot do that. That is why we believe this is some terrible joke, for today is the Sabbath.
Sabbath?
The Sabbath is the last day of the week when we Jews must stop all domestic activities to devote our attention to praising our...
We cannot therefore brush the floors or do any sort of labor.
I would be glad to do this for you.
Thank you, my young friend, but while our customs may seem strange to you, we do not follow laws only to incite non-believers to break them on our behalf. God must brush this earth away with his breath, but it is not good to ask favors of the Almighty for such futile...
Good day, friend. Have you been following the events that are troubling your community?
The sign on the ground? If it were up to me, it would have been scrubbed away a long time ago. The Muslims aggravate us so much, we can't let them disturb us on the Sabbath too.
Do the Muslims make you suffer so much in Jerusalem?
Oh, that's a difficult question. Some see all dhimmis as victims to be attacked as they wish. But the governor is a fair man. He has made several judgments in our favour in matters that have set us against the Muslims. He is also very careful in ensuring that taxation is fair and that the collectors do not exploit us. No, the problem comes mainly from certain cruel and frustrating...
What if we got rid of this sign?
Do you know how? I can only help you with my advice.
The rabbi wants God to blow on the sand to erase the sign.
The wind is blowing hard today, but up above the rooftops.
And what if we used the wind?
You can command the winds, stranger.
Could you lend me some arches from your casks?
If you want, but...
I also need the canvas of your canopy.
What are you going to do?
I cannot command the winds, but I can perhaps trap them.
I don't understand at all, but try. Take whatever you need.
It seems God has answered your prayers.
I shall not comment on the incredible pretension of your words, but I thank God once more for having inspired one of his sons.
How can we thank you?
Have you heard of a preacher who drew a little too much attention to himself and was arrested by the governor's orders?
Heard of him? We heard too much of him. He was a moralizer, criticizing our most holy customs.
I have heard that a relic was dividing the millets.
You speak of Abraham's dagger. We do not accept the idea that the father of the Hebrews was thus taken hostage by the Muslims.
Is Abraham not the father of all believers?
He was the father of Isaac, grandfather of Jacob, great-grandfather of Joseph, one of whose descendants was the father of Moses. All that we know. But that he was the father of the servants of Muhammad, who says so? The servants of Muhammad? No, any relic of Abraham's belongs to the chosen people who alone were guided by his wisdom, to us and no one else.
Why do you say the Hebrews are the chosen people?
It was the alliance between God and the Hebrews on their departure from Egypt that made us a people of priests, destined to carry the message of the one God to all nations. It is a privilege that lays many duties upon us and few rights. That is what we cannot forget, on pain of failing.
Why did the Hebrew people settle in Egypt?
It was not by their own will. In fact, it was quite the contrary. 13 centuries before the Christians' Messiah, Palestine was the theatre for a long and bloody war between the Egyptians and the Hittites. When the enemies eventually signed a peace treaty, the territory where the Hebrews lived was handed over to Egypt, who enslaved our ancestors. But Moses assembled our people and freed them from slavery by bringing them here, to the Promised Land, the land of Canaan. That is as it is.
Will you allow me to enter to admire your synagogue?
It would be a great pleasure, young man. Follow me. You are entering what is probably the oldest synagogue in Jerusalem. We call it the Ramban Synagogue, which is a deformation of a man's name, Naaman. This man's story is edifying. Do you wish to hear?
I would be delighted.
Rabbi Naaman lived in Spain at the end of the 12th century of the Christian era. A Jewish apostate challenged him to prove the superiority of the Jewish faith over all others. After 4 days and 4 nights of verbal sparring, the King of Aragon declared Rabbi Naaman the winner. But this victory gained him many enemies, and the old man had to go into exile. His feet led him to Jerusalem, where only 2 Jews lived at the time, 2 brothers, among 3,000 Ger Tochav Christians and Muslims. With them he built this synagogue and revived the faith of...
What exactly is apostasy?
It is when one abandons one faith, my child, either as a result of personal choice or threat, as happened only a few decades ago for our people living in Spain and Portugal, who had to choose between conversion and exile or death.
What does Ger Tochav mean?
That is what the Jews call the Christians and Muslims as they conform to the 7 laws that the Almighty, blessed be his name, gave to Noah to be passed on to all humanity. But those who do not recognize these precepts, the pagans, we call akums, which mean adorers of the stars and planets. The synagogue is in fact only an external envelope built to protect the holy arch that we call Haran HaKodesh. It in turn covers the parchment rolls on which the Sefer Torah is written, the law of Moses. Here, my friend, 3 times a week and every holy day, the rabbi holds a public reading of the Torah. This is the platform that we call Bima.
See you soon, Rabbi.
See you soon.
Oh, congratulations.
Congratulations for what?
I saw how you stood up to those superstitious babblings.
Are you following me? Did Ibrahim send you?
Oh, nothing can be hidden from a mind as perceptive as yours.
Are you here to protect me?
Why else? Tell me, what lessons have you learned from your journey today?
Well, I have seen the believer confronting his faith, the Almighty, the one God who is love and forgiveness for all his sons. I have heard him revered by 3 names. I have seen the holy houses that man has built in his name. I have spoken with the guards of his houses, and each one has told me wise and beautiful things for man.
3 voices serving the one and same word. Do you think that one day they will speak as one?
Is that your wish? Indeed, there are some surprising people in Ibrahim's service.
I am above all in God's service. What else have you learned?
I have seen men interpret signs too quickly and find what would serve them even more rapidly.
Superstition follows pride and obeys it as a father.
Is that not a phrase of Socrates? So, my spy is a philosopher also.
Oh, what a terrible word. I prefer guardian angel. What else have you noticed?
I have seen the strength and power that faith gives to a believer.
And what power? Touch the invisible. See that reality is not a matter of appearance. A truth that faith teaches, and which could be a useful principle in all circumstances in our lives. Tell me, has it not happened often that, having searched for something for a long time, you realise it was under your nose from the very beginning?
Very often. What do you think is the blindfold that covers our eyes?
Vanitas vanitatis. All is vanity. I must leave you for now. I hope my paltry disguise has been of some use. Who could guess that even a fruit would contain such flavour?
Adrian, what news?
We are on the right path. The word faith was written in front of the 3 places marked on the map.
So our man is very near.
And he wants to be found.
After a murder and a kidnapping, this man is multiplying the clues leading us to him. What could possibly motivate him to put himself in such danger?
Vanitas, vanitatis.
Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. Why are you quoting Ecclesiastes?
A strange man. I shall tell you. Let us go and find the governor.
So, have you made progress?
Just a few hours after his escape, our fugitive wrote the word faith in front of the 3 places he's indicated on his map. Of course, that led us towards him. But by which path?
Well, let us summarize.
He made us take the path of faith by leading us towards religious places. He should now guide us toward the path of hope.
Hayat works with analogies. What is the common point that we must find this time?
The one God?
Was that not already part of the lesson of the triptych?
Prayer.
And?
Who could guess that even a fruit would contain such flavour?
Where did you find that fruit?
I was given it by the guard your advisor assigned to me.
What? I never did such a thing.
Ibrahim, I told you to let the secretary act.
It seemed that Ibrahim is telling the truth. Then I have been fooled. I have already met the man we are looking for.
What does the message say?
3 like the sides of a triangle. With the revealed word in the center and in the corners, the elected of the patriarchs, the Holy Lamb, and the seal of the prophets. This gives me an idea. We have a message from the madman. 3 like the sides of a triangle, with the revealed word in the center and in the corners, the elected of the patriarchs, the Holy Lamb, and the seal of the prophets.
The man is obviously obsessed with the number 3, and he likes speaking in riddles.
he referred to the introduction to Ecclesiastes, Vanitas Vanitatis.
Vanity? It would seem he has plenty of that himself. We must find out what he wanted to show by that.
The Holy Lamb. It is obviously a symbol. What does it mean in our puzzle?
That, he tells us, it is one of the elements of the triangulation that reveals the Word. As for explaining the picture, it is simple. John the Baptist was the first to call Christ the Lamb of God.
Hayat talked of the elected of the patriarchs. What could that be?
What an easy question. Jacob is the elected of the patriarchs according to the beliefs of the Hebrew people.
I do not know much about the life of Jacob.
He was the grandson of Abraham and the son of Isaac. Jacob had a twin brother, Esau, whose birthright he usurped with the help of his own mother, Rebekah. To escape his brother's rage, Jacob hid at his uncle's house and married his uncle's 2 daughters. He had 12 sons born of them and their servants, and these were the ancestors of the 12 tribes that formed the Jewish people.
The seal of the prophets? Do you think Hayat means a person here?
I do not think, Dimi. I know. We call Mohammed thus as we believe that he closes the cycle of the revelation. God shall not send another prophet after him, and humanity shall have to wait until the end of time for the veil covering the mysteries of the divine plan to be lifted.
What do men of God mean by revealed word, exactly?
For men, there are only 4 ways of thinking about the world. One is common to the 3 religions of the book, and it states that the universe is the result of a unique, creative will that we call God. God is known to us through his prophets, to whom he reveals all his laws and plans for man, his beloved creature.
What about the other ways of thinking about the world?
First, the visible universe can be perceived as a pure and simple illusion, and human energy must be entirely devoted to tearing away the veil of appearance that hides the truth. That is what certain wise men in India think.
And the third way?
Well, man can have enough pride to believe that reality is only the physical universe around us, and that this universe contains no spirituality. Those who believe this are called materialists. Many philosophers from ancient Greece were materialists, such as Xenophon or Parmenid.
You mentioned 4 ways of seeing the world. What is the last?
Oh, that is the most dangerous of all. The way of the idolaters. It says that there is not a single God, creator of the universe, but that all visible space is inhabited by forces with which men can commune. It is the way of the pagans who used to live in your world and ours. It was the religion of the Arabs before Muhammad came to bring us the word of Allah. We call that time Jahiliyyah, the time of ignorance. But that period is over now.
Have you found anything interesting?
A word to find in a triangle made up of 3 places, marked by Jacob, Jesus, and Mohammed.
While waiting for you, I studied the 3 maps he drew. Is the answer not there?
A triangle linking the maps. The corners would then be marked by the Cathedral of the Rock twice to commemorate Jacob and Mohammed, and by the Saint Sepulchre once in memory of Jesus. A wax plug. That is not enough. The wax layer is too thick. Not too long. Now I can scratch it off. At my house, messengers. And so the path of the greatest of follies is confirmed. The corners are the places of the 3 revelations, and the uncovered word is not that of God, but it is His. Is it not strange, this type of supreme vanity? Here is a man who takes his word to be the word of God, and yet he accuses himself of vanity.
Unless we've misinterpreted his reference to Ecclesiastes, he doesn't take himself for God, but for Qoheleth, the king of Jerusalem and author of this book, and whom tradition identifies as Solomon himself.
And so?
And so he is not referring to the introduction, but to its conclusion. Vanity of vanities, Qoheleth said. All is vanity. The fact that he taught science to the people adds to this character's wisdom.
We have yet to discover what the science is that he wanted to teach us.
Let us do as he advises. Let us drop our vanities and go to his house to find these messengers. Ibrahim must know where he lived before he was imprisoned. I shall ask him to take us there.
Are you the widow Pichon?
What do you think? I told him, the governor's men, God bless him, that I dare not touch his room. I has not touched it, not before or after. So like they said to me, right, I didn't do nothing. Not nothing, I ain't done nothing.
Do not fear. We have just come to ask you a few questions. What did you think of him?
Nice, nice, nice. He was very nice, he was very knowledgeable. He told me lots of lovely things. I likes to listen to him, but I tells him that he spoke too much. One day, he didn't come back, and I heard he'd been arrested. I was real sad, because he weren't too clever to mix up all them religious stories, but he was the kindest man he was. Oh yes, bless him.
Did your tenant sometimes have guests? And did he speak to you about messengers?
Never had no one, no. And messengers? Messengers of what?
Messengers. In Greek, they're called angelos, aren't they? Hayat's messengers were angels. The tidings brought to Mary, one of the most moving scenes in the second of the religions of the book. Gabriel, seizing Abraham's arm at the moment of Isaac's sacrifice, the ancestor of the Hebrews without whom Christianity and Islam would never have appeared. The angel Gabriel prepares the mortal body of the prophet, of the last revealed religion, for its nocturnal journey to the heavens of Allah.
There was a trap behind the first messenger, and there is another one here.
It is a clever idea, but the nozzle of the bellows is too large.
Could you make me a very thin nozzle for these bellows?
My last-born could do that for you. Wait here. There you go.
How much do I owe you?
Nothing, brother. It was not a difficult job, and I like helping people in need.
That is a rare and chivalrous attitude. What is your name?
Chivalrous. I like that word. My name is Ibn Anur, at your service.
I shall not forget it. Do you know what is in this chest?
I see. Think I go through people's things, do you? Well, I don't see. I leave people alone with their bits and bobs.
A sajda, the prayer mat used by Muslims. It is a talit, a ritual prayer shawl of the Jewish liturgy, I believe. The cross, the instrument of the Passion of Christ.
Two things are confusing me, Ozdemir. The first is how a man as poor as Hayat can have objects of such value in his possession. This chest contains some real treasures.
Hayat seems more interested in spiritual riches than material objects, but what is your other source of confusion?
It is more serious. All the traps that gave out the keys were deadly. Up to now, Hayat has always been devious with us, but never dangerous.
You are forgetting that he kidnapped Haikma. Some would say that is quite dangerous behavior. Nevertheless, it is true that we should be doubly careful from now on. Do you understand what I am talking about?
Yes, the trap in the box room must have been set only recently. Hayat could not have filled the oil lamp from his cell, so either he has an accomplice, or...
Or someone is manipulating him and using this treasure hunt for their own means.
To follow the tracks that we have just discovered, I think I shall have to make use of some of my contacts. Could you spare a few minutes, Father?
I am listening, Adrian.
I found this object at Hayat's house.
A magnificent crucifix. But I doubt it could help you find Hayat.
I do not think it will help me find him, but perhaps it can tell me more about him. You told me that Hayat often came to see you. What about?
He was very curious about the history of the church. He already knew a lot about the subject, however, but he always wanted to know more and expressed some strange opinions about it, too.
What did he want to know, specifically?
What language the Gospels were written in, and when the Christian religion became the only religion of the West.
Who was Bar Kokhbas?
Between 132 and 135 AD, the Jews yet again battled with Rome. Bar Kokhbas was the leader of the rebellion. He took refuge in his fortress at Betar with his men, but was defeated by the Emperor Hadrian. After that final revolt, Jerusalem was forbidden to all Jews and became a pagan city named Aelia Capitolina.
Can you tell me what this object is for?
What a magnificent tallit! It is a shawl that we use for morning and evening prayers. I have never seen one as splendid as this, and the phrase written on it is truly beautiful.
Do you know where I can find Kalonimus?
My master went to pray at the Wailing Wall. You can go and find him there, if you wish.
I do not see any writing on this shawl, Isaac.
Oh, but it is there, believe me, and it thus respects tradition. Look at the tzitzits, the fringes around the shawl. Do you see these couples of knots separating the spaces?
Yes, threads run through each one.
If you count the number of turns the threads make, you will see that each one is different. That is because they indicate the order of the letters of our alphabet. The phrase I was telling you about is not written with symbols, but with numbers. But for us, because we follow the tradition that God taught Adam in the Garden of Eden, it is the same. We read numbers as well as we can add words.
Yes, a man in a garden already explained a little of that to me. He even gave me a parchment that shows a few examples. Perhaps I could use it to decipher what is written on the talit.
Yes, but it would be easier to just ask me what is written on these tzitzits, as I already know.
You are right, so tell me.
It is simply an affirmation of the oneness of God. God is one. In numbers, that equals 39. Associating numbers with letters is known as gematry, and it is one of the aspects of the Kabbalah.
The Kabbalah? What is that exactly?
It is the secret sent to Adam from God while Adam slept for him to name creation. You see, we think that the scriptures, if we make do with their primary meaning, only show one of the numerous realities of the world. By studying and meditating on the holy books,
man must open all the other doors and bring out all other meanings. That is what the Kabbalah is for.
It seems to me that the Kabbalah was also used for magical operations.
It is true that some people use it for superstitious means, but there is a story in the Zohar that shows that the Kabbalah's greatest power is not magical. Listen. Rabbi Simeon and his son met an angel as big as a mountain who told them that he was going to destroy the world because there were not 30 righteous men in the generation of the time. Simeon replied, "The two of us, my son and I, are enough to protect the world, as it is written. Any word, or dabar in Hebrew, shall be established upon the deposition of 2 witnesses. Now, dabar also means world when written. By the word, or dabar, of God, the heavens were made." At this moment, a heavenly voice sounded out, "Happy may you be, Rabbi Simeon. You who have the power to repeal the decrees of the Holy One, blessed may he be." You see, I like that story very much because it shows how knowledge and Kabbalist manipulation of the language avoided the destruction of all humanity.
What is the Zohar?
It is the Book of Splendors, the most important book of the Kabbalah. Some say it is the work of a single author who died 2.5 centuries ago, the Castilian Moses of Leon. Others believe the Zohar is not an original work, but a collection of sometimes very old Kabbalist works. Wherever truth can be found, the Zohar is considered to be a little like the counterbalance of the Talmud.
What do you mean exactly when you speak of Kabbalist manipulation of the language?
It is said that in paradise, Adam carried the entire Torah on his face, but none of the letters that made up the text were separated. This gigantic word was the great name of the one God. But once the first man had sinned, the letters were mixed up and separated, one after another. By manipulating the language, the Kabbalists try to rebuild the order of the primordial Torah. When they find a fragment of it, or discover a link between 2 terms that had lost their identity, they can even cancel divine decrees. That is what the story of Rabbi Simeon and his son shows us.
Why is the Zohar against the Talmud?
The largest part of Jewish law is contained in the Torah, but it is accompanied by the rabbinical laws of the Halakha, the Mishnah, which is the record of verbal laws handed down in ancient times, and the Talmud, which is the commentary on these. Talmudists were Pharisees who approached the mysticism and interiority of religious feeling with some mistrust. The Zohar shows slightly less rigid and legalist hopes and thoughts than those expressed by the Talmud.
That is all a little confused.
Perhaps. But you will undoubtedly understand better if I show you a picture to clarify everything. Imagine that Judaism is a mountain. The Talmud is the slope facing the light, where the villagers stand, and the Zohar is the side that remains in the shade and is only visited by those who are not content with the Talmud, those Maimonides calls the lost. But what would the sunny side be without the other side to support it? It would collapse and there would be no mountain. And do you know anyone who likes flat countryside?
Who were the Pharisees?
They were the ruling class of our people when they returned to captivity in Babylon, until Jerusalem was destroyed by the Romans 70 years after the Christian Messiah. The Pharisees did not have a good position in the Gospels because they fought violently against Jesus, whom they took as an agitator.
Excuse my ignorance, but who was the Maimonides?
He was a little like your Saint Thomas of Aquinas. He was actually, virtually his contemporary, and like Thomas, Maimonides tried to reconcile rationalism born out of Aristotle's philosophy and the mysticism of faith.
Why were the Hebrews taken to Babylon?
Because of a war of conquest. My people were taken as the spoils of war by King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon in the year 586 BC of the Christian era. The destruction of the first temple dates back to that time. Half a century later, another king, Cyrus, freed us and allowed us to build the temple and even the walls of Jerusalem. But when you see Kalonymus, he will tell you more of this.
Kalonymus, may I interrupt your prayers for a second?
I am listening.
Kalonymus, I found this talit at Hayat's home. I think it a little strange that a man as poor as him should have a shawl of such value in his possession. What do you think?
It is not unusual for poor men to be very pious and prefer to spend the little means they have on religious objects rather than satisfy more mundane needs. But you are right, there is something unusual about this talit. A tiny embroidery of silver thread through these two dark bands. Do you see it?
I showed this shawl to Isaac, and he did not notice this.
A ray of reflected light on the metal thread made me look closer. Otherwise, I would not have seen it either.
What does the inscription say?
It is a name, and probably a date from the Hebrew calendar. Burgos 5252. Talits do not usually contain this sort of text.
Do you usually come here to pray?
Not usually in the way you mean, my child. Let us say that it is above all an act of fervour, hope and remembrance. These remains are the remains of a revolutionary time for my people, the time of our independence, our unity and our strength. We wish that one day the children of Zion will again be reunited in the Promised Land and will be able to rebuild the Temple of Solomon so they can complete their destiny as the leader of all nations.
Why do you call this place the Wailing Wall?
The Muslims and Christians gave it this name, not the Jews. For us, it is rather the Wall of Hope, because we pray that one day, on this ruined wall, the great temple of our faith shall be rebuilt.
What do you call Zion, Kalonymus?
It is the name of the fortress taken by King David, and that he made his city, Jerusalem. Yerushalayim. It means the city of peace. But in the scriptures, Zion also means all Judea, and even all the people of the house of Israel.
How was David recognized as king by the Hebrews?
Oh, you are right to ask that question. Usually, Christians just know that David was a shepherd who killed a giant with a stone. But for many, the story ends there. And so, listen. At around the time when Homer told the story of the War of Troy, 1,250 years before the birth of Jesus Christ, invaders arrived on the coast of the east, among them brandishing iron swords and driving chariots of war. The Philistines clashed with the Israelites, who, without a leader and almost without arms to defend themselves, suffered heavy losses, until Samuel, a priest of the one God, made Saul king of Israel. And then the battle began to turn. Moab, Edom, and all the other enemy kingdoms of the Hebrews were soon defeated, but because he spared an enemy, and thus disobeyed Yahweh, Saul was abandoned by divine benevolence. Upon his death, David, who had already been crowned with glory for having killed the warrior giant Goliath, succeeded Saul to the throne and asserted the supremacy of the Hebrews over the land of Canaan. David took Jerusalem, and Solomon his son built the first temple where the Ark of the Covenant was kept. But when Solomon died, the land of the Hebrews was divided into two kingdoms, Judea to the south and Israel to the north. And the Hebrew people found division and pain.
You spoke of the first temple. Does that mean there are several?
Two, if tradition is to be believed, the first sanctuary was built by Master Hiram of Tyre, an architect who knew great secrets. The temple housed the Ark of the Covenant, a chest in which the tables of the law were kept, but it was destroyed when the city was taken by the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar. That was when the Ark disappeared. The second temple was destroyed by the Romans when they took Jerusalem in 70 of the Christian era.
Thank you, Kalonymus. I shall not forget what you have taught me.
Memory is the sister of truth, Adrian, as surely as forgetting and lying are their evil opposites.
Aleph, Lam, Mim. Thus says the book. It contains no doubt. It is a guide for those who fear God, those who believe in the mystery, those who fulfill their...
May I interrupt your meditation, holy man?
Do not worry about disturbing me. Talking with a friend is one of the most beautiful forms of meditation I know. Oh, it is a great pleasure to see you again.
I know that this is a sajada, a prayer mat, but I would like to know its symbolic value for Muslims.
Oh, the sajada is like a door, but a door that opens onto a specific time, not a place. This time is the time of intimacy with our Creator.
I found this mat at Hayat's house. Can you tell me anything special about it?
Oh, I do not know. You should consult Master Jamal, the head of the Tariqah of carpet makers. But he has left for Hajj with the caravan before last. He shall not be back for some weeks.
You spoke of a tariqah. Is that some sort of brotherhood?
Yes, there are tariqahs for all trades in Islam. But they are more than simple groups of craftsmen. To be a member of a tariqah is to follow the path of a true master of skill, as most of their patriarchs are also Sufis. That is why the Empire helps to develop these brotherhoods.
I understand that Soliman had a great respect for the Sufis. Is there any special reason for that?
Oh, yes. When Selim, the father of Soliman, fought the Mameluke dynasty of Cairo, he rallied the Sufis to his cause. The Sufis were much respected by the people because for a long time they had opposed the Egyptian sultans and their severe and inefficient form of government that was nonetheless supported by Sunni dignitaries. That is how the Sufis became allies of the new political regime. It is an edifying reversal of the situation, no?
As the Sufis now have a similar role to the Sunni orthodoxy in the time of the Mamelukes, who opposes the empire?
That is a difficult question. Let us say that there is no opposition as such, but sources of popular discontent are sometimes voiced by members of the Futuwa.
I do not know what the Futuwa are.
They are a kind of brotherhood of young people with very strict codes of honor. Chivalrous, almost. They can be found in all the large cities of the Empire.
What are the sources of popular discontent you talk about?
Oh, well, since the Europeans found shipping routes to go and find spices and silk from India themselves, our cities no longer have the same importance for trade. They're beginning to lose their wealth. But the state does not understand this and continues to ask for more tax. And so young people in the Futuwas are agitated as they are very sensitive to questions of social justice.
Do you think Hayat was in contact with members of the Futuwa?
It is more than likely. Hayat saw many people, and these groups are in the middle of the people. They're not difficult to find.
I think I may even have met someone who could be one of them. Thank you for sharing a little of your knowledge with me, holy man. It will be of great use to me.
Knowledge is like a flame that passes from torch to torch, Adrian. Those who give it do not lose it.
Are you prepared to help me, friend?
What can I do for you? Forget another instrument?
No, forge me an answer instead. Did you know the man who was lodging with your neighbor, the widow Pichon?
Hayat. Of course I knew him. He often came to speak with me after his day's work. I liked him. I learned what he did. It surprised me. Are you sure he is the one who kidnapped the governor's daughter?
It would seem so, yes. But you say he worked?
He was a preacher. That was his job. He walked the streets of Jerusalem preaching of love. It did not harm anyone, but the authorities preferred to lock him up. I wanted to go and visit him in prison, but one of the Chamberlain's men told me he had been hidden away. I found that a little strange, but did not insist.
Did Hayat tell you about his life?
Yes, a little. I know he was born in the Jewish community of Burgos before his fellow Jews were expelled. His family sought refuge in Portugal. Then he was sold like a slave to Muslims and bought by Christians. He certainly had an adventurous life.
And one that brought him into close contact with men of all religions, for better or for worse.
Fire! Fire! The thief has started a fire! 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 Help!
This dwelling certainly attracts covetousness.
It was nothing, just a few flames to put out. I'm used to dealing with fire, nothing to fear.
He were a sprightly one, that man, a force of nature. Oh, he stopped the fire all on his own, so he did.
I found this among the ashes. I do not know if it is of any importance.
Did you come here to burn this manuscript?
None of your business, you damn snoop. You can have me slung in prison, but I won't stay there long. The governor's days are numbered.
I'm sure the governor will be very interested in what you have just insinuated. Let us continue this conversation in his presence. Governor, this man was sent to Hayat's home to find and destroy a manuscript we did not see upon our last visit.
We are not the only ones to be looking for Hayat, it seems. I think our madman has escaped from whoever was controlling him.
Ozdemir is right, Governor. Hayat could not have escaped, kidnapped your daughter, and taken the relic all on his own. By the way, where was Abraham's dagger actually kept?
In my work desk. But that was no secret. All the staff here could have known that.
I answer for Ibrahim as for myself, Ozdemir. He has been my aide for more than 30 years, and he saved my life at the Battle of Mohacs against the Hungarians.
Adrian, do you think we could find something in the piece of ash that is dirtying your fingers?
One of the pages in Hebrew is a quote from Isaiah on death, and I think I recognize a passage from the Epistle to the Romans concerning the resurrection. The words Nakir and Munkir are written in Arabic.
The names of the angels of death. That is not a good omen, Secretary.
Perhaps not. I think it talks of death as a door which opens onto another existence, a better life. That is surely the path of hope, according to Hayat. I doubt if the governor will be particularly lenient in the sentence you receive for your judgment. Except, perhaps, if you decide to tell us who you are working for.
Whatever happens, the governor's justice will stop at my head. He who asked me to search Hyatt's home will have no hesitation in making my loved ones pay if I betray him. Leave me a little while to think on which side I should tip the balance.
I accept your proposal. I shall leave you the night to decide. We shall meet again tomorrow morning at dawn.
The evening is already old. Let us all rest a little. The dawn will soon approach, and tomorrow we will all need Allah's favor. May we all have enough strength to warrant it.
Adrian, either you are a fool, or
I have an idea in the back of my mind. Yes, Ozdemir, I must ask you to use your authority.
to discreetly watch the fire-starter's cell. That can be arranged. And what will you do during that time?
Pay a nocturnal visit to one of our friends.
I see, but I do not want to know. Well, not yet. Until tomorrow, Adrian, and may night be your accomplice.
The night is my accomplice, and the day my traitor. Is that not what the poet Al-Jahiz wrote?
You are as well read as a scribe, and you sometimes ask questions as naive as an infant's, Adrian. I think Hayat and you had quite a lot in common.
I am beginning to understand him. I'm convinced we will find Haikma safe and sound tomorrow.
If nothing terrible happens to you beforehand.
I come yet again to draw from your great knowledge. Is it still possible that we could speak, even at this late hour?
Of course. I am listening.
What can you tell me about Nakir and Munkir?
They are angels who weigh up the good and bad actions of every one of us.
What does the Muslim religion say about death?
Well, it is death that separates the true believer from the false one. Death unmasks those hypocrites who have fulfilled their Muslim duties only from habit or conformity, without adding faith. Those people, death sends to Gehenna, to hell, where they will suffer for all eternity. The pious and sincere man, however, can join Allah's paradise. That is what is said.
Do you know how the Christian religion views death?
In a similar way to us Muslims. Those who have recognized the good news of Jesus Christ will join the Father in heaven. But hell will be the destination for those who have refused to abdicate their pride before the generosity of divine forgiveness. But there is a major difference between Christian faith and Muslim faith, which is that on the day of the last judgment, and in the example of Christ, the dead will be revived. That is what the apostles and Paul say.
Do you know if the Jewish religion believes in the survival of the soul?
Oh, with the Hebrews it is more complicated. For a long time they have maintained that the human soul survives until death, but goes to reside in the Sheol, a sort of valley of shadows and sadness, where it cannot even praise God. Later, in the time when Christ was said to live, the Jews, then known as Sadducees, did not believe in resurrection of the dead, while the Pharisees did believe. Today, I think they, like us, believe in survival of the soul, but not resurrection of the dead.
So, the three religions think there is life after death?
The definition is difficult to make. I would not say life in the earthly sense of the word. Let us say that the religions agree that the soul's journey does not end with the destruction of the body.
Have you known Ibrahim for a long time?
Since he arrived in Jerusalem about 10 years ago. He is a very good man, and is devoted to the governor. You do not suspect the poor man, surely?
Why do you say, poor man?
Ibrahim is Abtar. He has no descendants. That is seen as a weakness for Muslims. It is better to be left-handed than abtar.
So, Ibrahim has never married?
Ibrahim had many wives and even more concubines, but none ever gave him children. I believe that is why the governor did not want to marry him to Hikmah.
The Chamberlain wanted to marry Hikmah? Well, I should get to know Ibrahim better in that case. Are you on guard all night?
No, luckily. I'll soon be relieved.
O Ibrahim, first of my disciples, when you find this letter, your men will have finally freed me from this unsavoury jail, where I was left to rot, and our plan will have begun. I am making a last-minute change. I think that the place we decided upon as a hiding place for the governor's daughter and me is not safe enough. I am changing it, therefore. I shall not tell you where it is, as I have not made a final decision myself. When the time comes, I shall tell those who shall follow the trail I have led where it is. Whatever happens, it will be in a holy and forbidden place, a sort of sanctuary, a place that is worthy of the grand finale that I have prepared. Thank you for your help, disciple, and rest assured that you shall have a good place in the book that the scribes of all nations shall extract from my work.
22nd of Nisan, 956. My friend, I know what pain I must have inflicted by refusing the hand of Hikmah, my beloved daughter, to you. It hurts both of us, too, as I do not know a more noble suitor than you. For you to be a member of my family would have been only right after all these years passed so faithfully in supporting me with your advice and seeing me through the cruel tests that I have met. The death of my sons and of my sweet and beautiful Layla. However, Allah has not yet rewarded you with descendants. Hikmah is now my only child, and my only hope of perpetuating my family lineage. You will understand if I reserve her for a man I am sure will make me a grandfather. May the thought of my eternal friendship allow you to continue to strive for our common good, which, I trust, is what you hold most dear.
The 8th Muharram, 939. Ibrahim. A note to tell you how tired I am to yet again suffer the base effrontery of your ridiculous courtship. I had hoped that, with time, your mad passion would abate, or that at least my maternity would muzzle your infamous concupiscence. But once again, your indecent proposals have disturbed the happiness I enjoy with my husband and child. Your manners, your looks, your simple presence are unbearable for me. I hope, however, to be able to stifle scandal by giving you 2 days to leave. Beyond that time, I shall not hesitate to reveal everything about your conduct. I am sure your talents shall allow you to start a new life somewhere else. Thanks to Allah, our empire is large enough for you to enjoy its vastness far away from us. Layla.
Secretary, you will never guess...
Let me try, Governor. Ibrahim was found having a long conversation with the fire starter.
Well, Secretary, you are wrong. Ibrahim was found trying to poison the fire starter. I cannot believe it.
If Ibrahim felt sufficiently hunted to take an enormous risk and give himself away, my document is not going to be of much use. Where is the Chamberlain held?
Unfortunately, he managed to escape. I believe many of the guards were in his pay. Why did Allah so blindfold me about this man for so many years? But what document are you speaking of?
If we needed any more proof of Ibrahim's guilt, I think we now have it.
But why? Why? These men, why did they take my daughter away?
Ozdemir, Hayat's letter mentions a holy and forbidden place, a sanctuary, a spectacular place.
A holy and spectacular place, that is all there is in Jerusalem. I think that Isa al-Ghauri must be awakened. Go and ask him the question, Adrian. He has already given you good advice. Perhaps he has an idea.
The day is not yet risen, yet here you are studying again.
And if it were not thus, I would have been deprived of a conversation with you. With you, Dimi, I feel I am really an important man. So, where have your studies led you?
They are leading me towards a holy and forbidden place, whose name I do not yet know.
A holy and forbidden place? That is exactly what Aramas Sharif means. The noble wall, the heart of Jerusalem, where the Cathedral of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque can be found. As often happens, the answer you were looking for is contained in your question.
You say I cannot go there?
By no other way but thought, Dimi. Otherwise you would violate a law that even the governor of the city cannot abolish. But I have told you, I can open the doors to that place in my own way. Do you want us to try the experiment?
To go to Haramas Sharif through imagination, is that not a little...
childish? Of course not. You Westerners have forgotten the power of imagination. If it is well guided, the imagination can be a very powerful instrument of knowledge. It can introduce us to other realities than the ones in which we daily dwell. Close your eyes. To protect a sacred rock, the rock that the followers of Allah say is the center of the world, and from which the Prophet leapt towards the heavens, a dome was built. Become its new architect, and you shall be worthy enough to enter. Begin by circling the rock with a ring of columns. Build a second colonnade outside the first to create an ambulatory. Now, raise the building's walls. Now cover the columns with a drum of stone that 16 windows shall pierce. Finally, place the double cupola on the building so that you can admire the work you have just recreated in all its splendor. If you wish, architect, a second task awaits you. Release your hand, architect. Take the building stones and rebuild Al-Aqsa, the largest mosque in Jerusalem. First, draw the central nave, then surround it with 2 rows of columns. Extend the nave with 2 bays. Seven arcades must now make up the porch. Place a transept at the end of the nave and cover their crossing point with a cupola. Good. Now it is up to you to survey the wonder your mind has rebuilt. the Fatimids from Egypt, the Crusaders and the Ayyubids dynasty, all worked to bring such majesty to this place. A mosque for Muslims, a palace for the Franks, this sanctuary is known by Islam as Al-Aqsa, the Far One, as they say it was the most northerly point ever reached by Muhammad, the Prophet of Allah. On the sides of the nave, like twin jewels encased in a larger jewel, the Mosque of Omar celebrates the memory of the second successor to the Prophet, while the White Mosque is reserved for the prayers of women. In the transept wall and the nave's axis, a mihrab, a niche, shows believers the direction of Mecca. Nearby, the imams stand during collective prayers. Under this cupola, where a frieze exalts the name of Jesus Christ, Prophet according to Islam, a sacred rock has the imprint of Muhammad's foot and the Archangel Gabriel's hand. This was the first altar of the one God, the table on which the faith of the patriarch Abraham and Yahweh was sealed. Under this cupola, where a frieze exalts the name of Under this cupola, where a frieze exalts the name of Jesus Christ, the Fatimids from Egypt, the Crusaders and the Ayyubids. Well, Dimi, it would seem that divine providence has ensured you are greatly endowed with the virtues of imagination. Have you found any information that may assist your search?
I have seen and done some strange things, but all the places you made me cross were empty of all human presence.
That I made you cross? But I have not said a single word since you closed your eyes. Anyway, forget that. Let that be your mystery. What else can I do for you?
Nothing else for now, I'm afraid.
Adrian, I was looking for you. You were right. Hayat has shown himself. At daybreak, the guards found a message to you left on the steps.
To the Rumi that Providence has placed in my path, as it sent Simon Peter to the meeting with Christ, and Bilal to Muhammad. Since only you have discovered how to follow the path I drew, it is up to you to bring me the ram, the fish, and the lion. Come with them to the entrance of the quarries of Solomon. I shall be waiting for you there, and you shall become the second of my disciples.
The ram, the fish, and the lion must stand for people.
The ram often represents the Jewish people. The first Christians took the fish as their sign of recognition, and the lion is an animal which is greatly respected in the lands of Islam.
Do you know where the quarries of Solomon lie?
A little outside the city, near the ramparts.
I shall give the order to the guards to search them immediately.
No, Governor. Hayat is using Hikmah to deliver a message of union to us. He will not harm her. But he does not yet know that Ibrahim has betrayed him. If he is angered, who knows how he may react? It is better if we do as he asks. Hayat speaks of a disciple. Do you think he means Ibrahim?
Difficult to say. Obviously, the Chamberlain is the key to many things, but I do not yet fully understand his role.
Resentment, frustration, jealousy, who knows? Even the most hardy souls can sometimes succumb. Governor, can you send for Imam Abdel-Wahid, Archimandrite Palamede, and Rabbi Kalonymus? The four of us will go to the quarries of Solomon, and I promise you that together, the ram, the fish, and the lion will bring Hikmah back to you.
Coming to this place will do us no good. This place is as dark as Sheol.
Rabbi Kalonymus is right. These caves are a real maze. We could wander these passages for weeks if we got lost.
That is perhaps what Hayat wants, to force us to spend a long time together. He would like to know which of us would manage to convert the others.
Oh, that would be easy. I could convert you to the true faith of Abraham in less than 3 days.
And I could have you recognize Mohammed as seal of the prophets in less than 2 days.
I shall persuade you of the truth of the word of Christ in 1 day.
We are here to bring a young girl back to her father, not to quarrel among ourselves. Come on, it's time we set off. I think this sentence is intended for you, Kalonymus.
It seems easy to understand. We are at a fork in the path. Hayat is asking us to take the right path, as our ancestors were led to the east when they left Egypt.
There is a fish drawn in front of this sentence.
Oh, I know that reference. It is St. Paul describing the spiritual armor of the believer in his epistle to the Ephesians.
Does this sentence come from the Quran, Abdelwahid?
Yes, definitely. It belongs to our holy book.
A phrase that could be warning us against fire. Hayat seems to be insisting on the shield of faith.
Careful, Adrian. Do not forget that we should suspect everything from a man who has not hesitated to kidnap a woman. Is it really a good idea to follow, Adrian?
Yes, well, we should perhaps go back on our steps and have the Janissaries come.
This is too much. We are men of God, not explorers.
Be strong. Hikmah cannot be much further. We must think of her, and we have everything we need to get past this obstacle.
Ah, but who do I see approaching? The Jew, the Christian, and the Muslim, walking side by side, despite the tests and dangers that they have faced. And what was the purpose of this union that all thought impossible? Well, to save the most precious thing, the ultimate cause, the supreme value, human life. Well, a simple life of a young girl, perhaps, but a unique life, a breath that nothing would have replaced ever. Oh, eternal God of Abraham, of Jesus, and of Mohammed, see the work of your servant, Hayat, the madman. He alone has managed to reunite your separated sons.
Where is she? Where is Hikmah?
Oh, she is there, in the shadows, awaiting my sign. She's safe and sound. And she carries the dagger of Abraham. But she will only come out once those that you lead have finally sworn allegiance to the new faith, of which they are now the witnesses and the messengers. The faith in the union of all the sons of God, behind the flag of love of mankind.
You do not practice what you preach, Hayat. You abducted a young child, and you placed obstacles in front of those who want to return her to her father's arms.
Oh, but all that was useful. Without danger, how can you test your faith? Without threat, how can you unite? That is also the path of love, Rumi. discovering that in such danger the other, the foreigner, to whom you did not speak, he whom you believe to be your enemy, is above all a brother, with whose help you managed to overcome all obstacles.
The path of love, you say, Hayat? If you do not yet know that the only rewards given to love are envy, ingratitude, and mockery, then you are truly senile, old man.
Oh, Ibrahim! My disciple! Oh, but what are you doing? Oh!
I have come to add my contribution to your work, Hayat. But it will not have the face you drew for it when I came to see you in prison. They will find the bodies of all of you in these grottos, and Soliman shall never forgive the governor for this. Even though you found me out, Rumi, there is nothing more you can do to save Hikmah.
We came to save a life, Hayat. It is up to you to help us now.
You promise that the dagger of Abraham fell into dust in front of your eyes?
Yes, Excellency. Well, I mean, no. If it disintegrated, it could not have been the Patriarch's dagger.
Obviously. A holy relic would not break thus.
And that is how this stupid quarrel that threatened the peace of our communities ended. Jews, Christians, and Muslims will again live together and do business with each other.
Good. As he now knows the relic was a fake, I think my presence here is no longer required. I shall return to Istanbul and reassure our emperor as soon as possible. Adrian, do you wish to accompany me? I am certain you... Oh, where has my young Rumi gone?
He was with me just a second ago, Chavuch. He asked me a strange question, smiled, then moved aside a little, then disappeared.
A strange question?
He asked me if I knew what my name was in ancient Greek.
Your name in Greek? It is Sophia.
There they are!
Is it really a good...
Yes.
This is
Beast. If you spare the girl's life, the governor promises you clemency.
I know him better than you do, Secretary. I know he will not do so.
No!